Former traditional penitential days. A prominent feature of the Church's former discipline, before relaxations of the 1966 and 1983 legislation, was the Ember Days, that is, the Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday of the weeks that occur at the beginning of each of the 4 seasons. Ember Fridays were formerly days of fast and abstinence. Ember Wednesdays and Saturdays were formerly days of fast and partial abstinence, meat permitted only at the main meal. The Ember Days of ancient origin were days of fasting for the special sanctification of the 4 seasons and for obtaining God's blessing on the clergy. They occur during the weeks following: the first Sunday in Lent, Pentecost, Whitsunday, Holy Cross Day, September 14, and St. Lucy's Day, December 13. Fasting and partial abstinence were formerly required also on the weekdays of Lent and on the vigil of, day before, Pentecost. In addition to Ash Wednesday, the vigils of the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, December 8, and of Christmas, December 25, were formerly days of fasting and complete abstinence from meat, although December 23 could be substituted for December 24. It is praiseworthy to continue the former, traditional penitential observances, even though they are no longer obligatory. Penance serves to rectify our self-centeredness, to make up for sins, our own and those of others, and to strengthen our wills. It can be a very pure form of love for God, and can be offered up for the conversion of sinners and the relief of the souls in purgatory. The third commandment of the Church. The third commandment of the Church is to go to confession at least once a year. Later, we shall have a special instruction on the subject of confession. For the present, we must content ourselves with the statement of the law which was enacted by the Fourth Lateran Council in the year 1215 A.D. This confession need not be made during Easter time, but because of the next commandment of the Church. It is the custom to make the annual confession before receiving one's Easter Holy Communion. All children who have attained the use of reason and have made their first confession are bound by this law, even though they are not yet 7 years old. The year counts from the date of one's last confession, but if the year has passed, the obligation still remains. Strictly speaking, this law binds only if one has committed a mortal sin within the year. However, to avoid mortal sin for a whole year without confession would require extraordinary practice of prayer and virtue. The fourth commandment of the Church. The fourth commandment of the Church is to receive the Blessed Sacrament at least once a year, and that at Easter time. This commandment was also laid down at the Fourth Lateran Council in 1215. We shall explain what we mean by the Blessed Sacrament or Holy Communion in a future instruction. The command to go to Holy Communion during the Easter season is a grave one, and neglect of it for a number of years would be punished by deprivation of Christian burial. The Easter season is determined by the law of each nation or each diocese. It usually begins on the first day of Lent, Ash Wednesday, and extends beyond Easter to Trinity Sunday, a week after Pentecost Sunday. It is not obligatory to receive one's Easter communion in one's own parish church, but it is preferable to do so. Note that both the third and fourth commandments of the Church contain the words "at least," to indicate that it is the Church's wish that we should go to confession and receive Holy Communion frequently, even daily. Once a year for these sacraments is the bare minimum. The commandment does not limit the duty, but the time for fulfilling it. Even so, the grave obligation still exists, even after the prescribed time has elapsed. It extends also to children who have reached the use of reason and have made their first confession and communion, even though they are not yet 7 years of age, so long as they are capable of distinguishing the body of Christ from ordinary bread, and are sufficiently instructed. The fifth commandment of the church. The fifth commandment of the church is to contribute to the support of the church. Just as we are bound by the fourth commandment of God to support our parents in their needs, so are we bound to help in the support of the church and of our spiritual fathers in theirs. The priest is a representative of men in their dealings with God. Hebrews 5:1. His official calling precludes his following a trade or business. His only means of support is the alms of the faithful. Quote, "Have we not power to eat and to drink? Have we not power to carry about a woman, a sister, as well as the rest of the apostles, and the brethren of the Lord, and Cephas? Or I only, and Barnabas, have not we power to do this? Who serveth as a soldier at any time at his own charges? Who planteth a vineyard, and eateth not of the fruit thereof? Who feedeth the flock, and eateth not of the milk of the flock? Speak I these things according to man? Or doth not the law also say these things? For it is written in the law of Moses, Thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of the ox that treadeth out the corn. Doth God take care for oxen? Or doth he say, This indeed for our sakes? For these things are written for our sakes, that he that ploweth should plow in hope, and that he that thrasheth in hope to receive fruit. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great matter if we reap your carnal things? If others be partakers of this power over you, why not we rather? Nevertheless, we have not used this power, but we bear all things, lest we should give any hindrance to the gospel of Christ. Know you not that they who work in the holy place eat the things that are of the holy place, and they that serve the altar partake with the altar? So also the Lord ordained that they who preach the gospel should live by the gospel. 1 Corinthians 9:4-14. Hence, by both the natural law and the divine law, it is ordained that the faithful have a duty to support their priests. In the words of the Catechism of the Council of Trent, quote, "It is a duty to contribute to the support of religion according to our means, so that God may be duly honored and worshipped and the kingdom of his church extended."